More vaccines arrive in country, an update on the government's free testing pilot program, and a tourism icon set to lie in state. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Thursday, October 21st. Some 57,000 plus doses of the Pfizer vaccine landed at the Lynden Pindling International Airport by way of the COVAX facility. According to Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville, first doses will resume as early as tomorrow. Here's Laurencia Smith with more.
Shortly after noon on Thursday, 57,330 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, the fourth batch of the vaccine through the COVAX facility, landed here in the capital. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville sharing with reporters that the resumption of first doses of Pfizer will resume as early as Friday of this week. You may remember that health officials had paused the first dose due to the lack of supplies.
We are going to move very quickly because we have people at all our centers are expecting to be vaccinated and they want Pfizer. And so the program was scaled back a little bit because we needed to have the vaccines on ground. They're here, they will be stored effectively, and you will begin to see even a greater rollout because the appetite and the demand for vaccines, in particularly Pfizer, is definitely on the rise. And that is a good sign for us.
Based on the latest numbers, more than 119,000 individuals have been inoculated here in the Bahamas with either Pfizer, AstraZeneca, or Johnson & Johnson. Dr. Darville suggests that the demand for the vaccine has increased. As he says, individuals are now understanding that vaccines help save lives.
It's just the small logistics of getting the vaccines to the various locations, because the people are very interested throughout the country to be vaccinated because they're finally understanding that individuals who are vaccinated, the chances for hospitalization if you get COVID is very low, and the chances of death if you get COVID is very low. And these are the things that we keep pushing, and the Bahamian people are responding in a very positive way to vaccines.
Meanwhile, while there is a demand, there is still vaccine hesitancy. The minister says the government still has plans to increase its campaign as it relates to vaccines.
We're going to continue the campaign all the way until this pandemic subsides. We have a long way to go, but I'm pleased to report that at our centers, people are expressing interest. But I am of the view that as we begin to see more people vaccinated, we may begin to see some of the hesitancy pop up. And so the ministry is definitely now in full gear to begin the necessary educational programs so our people can be able to decipher what is true, what is fake news, and to make an informed decision.
Health officials are once again urging Bahamians to get vaccinated as they see the vaccination is the way out of this pandemic. I'm Laurencia Smith for JCN News.
Making good on their promise on Wednesday, the government successfully launched its free COVID-19 testing pilot program on Inagua. That island was selected for the launch because of a recent spike in cases. Dr. Darville told reporters today that the program will be launched on the Family Islands, mainly those with larger clusters of COVID-19 infections.
We are now looking at the program. We intend to expand it, and then we intend to observe the data. We intend to tweak it, and we intend to make sure that the rollout process as the entire country is done in an effective way. So I'm very pleased what I saw in Inagua. We plan to do similar things in some other Family Islands as early as next week. And all of this information is absolutely essential for us to finally roll out the program, and while rolling out the program, ensure that we have the digital platform to be able to do it effectively. So there's a lot of moving parts that are taking place. That's why we clearly indicated that it is a pilot, and the pilot will definitely mean that our technical expertise will begin to tweak it and get it working very effectively before we do the national launch.
Over the past 19 months, 153,000 plus tests have been completed, with more than 22,000 bearing positive results.
Because as you were in the past, most of the testing were flown into New Providence, and not flown, actually by boat, because most of the airlines do not want to carry biohazardous material. We're working on that. And so we will have some information with this new testing modality in real time. And we're working very closely because, as you realize, it's partnership with the private sector. And so the Ministry of Health teams are on the ground, are working with the private sector group. And if we find a situation that needs immediate attention, it's dealt with on the island itself in order to improve the quality of monitoring and ensure that our COVID clusters maintain the integrity necessary to prevent community spread.
In a statement issued by the Office of the Prime Minister, officials are expected to test more than 100 residents a day on Inagua. Former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham has remained quiet for the most part when it comes to the affairs of the Free National Movement. However, on Wednesday, he was quite frank with the press when he weighed in on the leadership of the FNM, following the FNM's September 16th defeat at the polls and the party's decision to choose new leadership. Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced that he was not seeking renomination for that position.
Nothing to do with Dr. Minnis or anybody else. The party has decided that in view of the announcement by Dr. Minnis that he would not seek re-election, that the party would hold a convention on the 27th of November to elect a leader. And that's what we are going to do.
Now, since the announcement, there has been much speculation as to who will assume the leadership role within the party. Member of Parliament for Marco City, Michael Pintard, is seen as the favorite to succeed Dr. Minnis as leader, along with St. Barnabas MP Shanadon Cartwright and East Grand Bahama MP Kwesi Thompson and former Elizabeth MP Dr. Dwayne Sands. And with that said, Member of Parliament for Central Grand Bahama Iram Lewis entering the race as he announced yesterday he will vie for the leadership of the Free National Movement at its convention next month. In the statement, Mr. Lewis commended Sir Cecil Wallace Whitfield, Kendall G. Isaacs, and Hubert Ingraham, Tommy Turnquest, Dr. Hubert Minnis, and John Henry Boswick, whom he said stood firm in the face of victimization and persecution, saying that today there is a new cadre of freedom fighters who believe in our foundational philosophy. Being one of only 7 FNMs elected to the House of Assembly, Mr. Lewis insists that it is time for a change. Lewis committed that under his leadership, the various arms of the FNM, council members, torchbearers, Youth Association, and the Women's Association will all have a seat at the table as their voices are valued and important. The party's one-day convention is slated for November 27th, 2021 in New Providence. It's currently unknown how many will vie for the leadership post. Now, when it comes to the current leader of the FNM, Dr. Hubert Minnis has repeatedly refused to say whether he would accept or reject a nomination at the party's convention, should someone nominate him on the convention floor. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.